Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. So as you have probably heard by now, DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns management have yet to come to any sort of agreement when it comes to a contract extension, and it looks like it's probably not going to happen until the offseason, if it does happen at all. So basically, DeAndre wants to get an extension that looks like the same amount as Luka Doncic or Trae Young from the same draft class, and the Phoenix Suns management is kind of just like, well, like, we recognize you're a big part of our team, but that's also a lot of money, because obviously Trae Young and Luka are both number one options on their team, and DeAndre Ayton kind of is like the third option guy on this team. Once CP3 retires, obviously would be more of a second option, right, like years past. But for today's video, man, we are going to go through, some different scenarios on what could happen in this case. Have that be, scenario one is simply that they play through this entire season and maybe they win a championship. If they win a championship, then yeah, it's like you pay DeAndre Ayton in the offseason. Maybe they play through this season and they come up short, and then it kind of reinforces the point of, well, like, see, DeAndre, we recognize we got to the finals and stuff before, but we didn't really, we're not getting to that next step with you. It's just not happening right now, right? Then obviously some more circumstances is that they could simply, trade him. I mean, get something back for him, right? Get something back for him. Or then you could also go into the offseason, let him walk away, and then all of a sudden you got a lot of money freed up to go for other free agents and kind of build around this Chris Paul, Devin Booker thing for the next few seasons. I think Chris Paul has 3 years on his contract with a team option in the last one. So yeah, man, what we're going to do is we're going to go through some trades up in here and just kind of see what makes sense for the team, right? And I'm not saying that DeAndre is getting traded. I'm just saying that the circumstance, it definitely is something that could happen. Like if I was bitch-ass Doctor Strange, do my little mind thing, look into the future, these are scenarios that could happen, right, man? So let me know in the comment section below, what would your personal favorite DeAndre Ayton trade look like? I guess your most realistic one is probably a better way of phrasing that. But yeah, man, so DeAndre Ayton, last NBA season, he had, what was his stats, man? He had stats of 14 points, 11 rebounds per game, shot 63% field goal percentage and at about 30 minutes per game. So a big knock on DeAndre last season was that he did not get better playing with Chris Paul. A lot of people thought he was going to get better playing with CP3, but it simply did not happen. Now, I would kind of argue in the case that, well, his field goal percentage went up, so that means he was getting smarter shots and taking better shots and everything and more efficient and everything. So, yeah, I don't know if I quite agree with that statement, but at the same time, too, I could see where looking at these numbers, just from the top of your head, those are not supermax contract extension type of numbers. They're just simply not. But, also, I believe that DeAndre actually kind of stepped up a bit in the playoffs. So, I mean, you got to kind of think about it that way, too. I think it's a smart idea not to extend him yet. Yes, there's a risk, but I think he's also a restricted free agent. So, yeah, man. So, basically, whatever contract another team offers him, the Phoenix Suns can decide if they want to sign him to that or not. So, yeah, I kind of understand that standpoint of it. But, yeah, man, DeAndre Ayton, good, solid player, 7-footer that can be good around the basket, play some defense, grab some rebounds, all that stuff. Has the ability, I think, a little bit to stretch out to the three-point line. I still think that's a few seasons away before he really does it consistently. But, yeah, man, so beyond the rest of the team, what do they exactly need? Well, they got a 36-year-old point guard in Chris Paul, who, like I said, is going to be around for a few seasons here, assuming he can stay healthy and everything. I can't imagine they would accept that team option in 2024. But then again, what do I know? Maybe he's still playing, top-notch basketball. So, yeah, I think as far as trade pieces go, it's not too early to maybe try to, like, get some sort of point guard where you can be like, okay, this guy's not ready to start right now, but by the time Chris Paul retires, he'll be ready to go. So that's probably something you can look for in that type of trade. Obviously, they don't need a shooting guard because they got Devin Booker. They got Mikal Bridges, who they just signed up to a pretty nice extension. They got Cam Johnson, who I'm a really big fan of at the 4 spot. So, realistically speaking, all they really need is, well, for one, they would need a center replacement, which, they could be kind of like building it the way like the Warriors have done in years past, where it's like, okay, the Warriors have always been cool having like JaVale McGee or like Andrew Bogut or Kevon Looney, somebody like that. So maybe they don't think they need like that high usage center in DeAndre Ayton, although funnily enough, this team actually does have JaVale McGee, right? So yeah, I think center, point guard, at both those positions, try to get both those guys in a trade would be kind of nice. And I guess maybe if there's a chance to go for an all-star type of guy, you do that too. But yeah, so let's go ahead and I guess the first thing I want to actually look at is going to the front office real quick here, man, is the upcoming free agents. Because that, like I was saying, that's one of the suggestions is that they just let them walk and you have, cap space to sign other guys, right? So as far as upcoming free agents that could help this team a lot next season, yet again, they would need a center. So, like, maybe if you want to go for, like, Valanciunas on the cheap side of things, just so you don't want to, like, spend a lot of money, that's definitely an option. Then maybe you can afford some sort of six-man. I would love if they went for Colin Sexton, but I know Colin Sexton would never buy into a six-man role on the Phoenix Suns, because that would be amazing for, like, a few seasons, and then once Chris Paul does retire, you got Colin Sexton and Devin Booker, but I don't think anything that would ever happen. And then there's obviously a lot of good, like, bench pieces down here, guys that could give them additional depth after the season and everything. But as far as, like, free agency goes, not like a whole bunch of home runs with what they actually need, because they're not going to get Kyrie getting Chris Paul, and you're not going to get Bradley Beal already having Devin Booker. So, yeah, not too much of what they would actually need in this circumstance. Let's go ahead, man, and let's go to proposed trades and kind of see, like, what teams we could potentially work out some sort of trade with. I do have the trade override turned on because 2K rarely, accepts any sort of trade. So I have that turned on because I just feel like if it's realistic, I'll do it. But I do have, I actually got to make salaries match and everything, which could honestly be a very difficult part of even doing a trade, because I don't think you can, like, extend a guy and then trade that extended contract. I don't think that's really how it works. So yeah, there's not, like, a lot of, like, additional salaries to add on to a trade unless you want to toss in, like, a Saric into a trade or something like that, or even a Jay Crowder. I guess there's possible ways to do it. But yeah, DeAndre Ayton. Okay, so let's look at the teams here, man. 76ers, they don't really make any sense to me whatsoever. They already got two big centers. The Milwaukee Bucks, Brook Lopez is great for this team, and they just don't really have the money to do it. So yeah, because they would have to extend, because we're assuming, DeAndre Ayton gets the contract extension via the trade, right? The Chicago Bulls already got Vucevic. Cleveland Cavaliers, they got damn Lauri Markkanen playing small forward. So yeah, they're going to have damn Kevin Love playing point guard before the season's over with. We got the Boston Celtics. So the Celtics, kind of an interesting fit, but I really like Robert Williams, and I think he's really going to have a solid season. You got an old head and Al Horford on the team, which is fine. I would much rather them, not jump ahead and do any sort of trade right now. I think they would be fine. Well, I guess if you want to take on, like, just because we know what DeAndre is, like Robert Williams, we know what he could be. So maybe it's just kind of skipping that stuff, being like, no, we'll just get DeAndre and pay him his money and everything. So that's something to consider. You can do like an Al Horford, Robert Williams type of thing. You got the LA Clippers. Don't really see a trade here unless they want to. Yeah, I just don't really see a trade here, to be honest. Memphis Grizzlies. Steven Adams would be, the type of low usage center that would work nicely on the Phoenix Suns. And then at that point too, maybe you ask for. See, that's the thing, is like, I don't really know what the team needs. Like, there's like, because you're not gonna do like a trade just solely around Steven Adams. Like, that's just not gonna work. But as far as tossing other pieces, it's like, what does the team need? Well, like I was saying, a point guard, but you're not getting John Moran and Tyus Jones at your point guard of the future. The Atlanta Hawks, nothing with that one. The Miami Heat, no. The Charlotte Hornets are actually pretty interesting in this case, because they do have a lot of good young, athletic players and stuff like that. And DeAndre Ayton definitely could be like that missing center, that missing piece for LaMelo Ball on this team. So as far as a trade with this goes, I think Mason Plumlee would be tossed in. He would actually work really nicely on the Phoenix Suns, but that's more so just like, okay, there's the center. What's the other piece? And to be honest, I think Scary Terry could be a big part. Because he's obviously somebody that can play, the combo guard position. I think him as a six man, it worked nicely on the Boston Celtics a few seasons ago. And that allows, the Hornets to really embrace the LaMelo Ball and Book Knight type of backcourt. So that's something I kind of like, and maybe even like a draft pick kind of gets it done too, because I don't think Scary Terry, which his contract's actually pretty damn nice, man. $17 million a season for the next 5 years. So yeah, I don't really see his game like regressing in that time. So, those two guys, and plus maybe like a protected first round pick or something, I think can kind of get it done. We got the Utah Jazz. Doesn't really make much sense, but I do always use this as the best comparison when talking about if you want to pay DeAndre Ayton his money, because like right here, this is the case where your second best player, Rudy Gobert, being a center, getting that super max, like, is this team going to be enough to win a championship ever? Like, they'll always be a really good team, but will they ever win it all? Which is the goal in the end of the day, right? With the Sacramento Kings, you could probably come up with something pretty decent here. I would probably say a trade of, Rashawn Holmes, Marvin Bagley, because Marvin Bagley is not even in the rotation anymore. Like, I don't know if you guys heard about that. Might be another future video talking about some Marvin Bagley trades. And then I would say in this case, I would also ask for Davion Mitchell. It would have to be either Davion Mitchell or Tyrese Halliburton. It would have to be one of those two guys, with me leaning towards Davion Mitchell, because he is the prime example of just like, I can see him taking on that Fred VanVleet type of role, like with the Raptors, where, eventually his time's going to come, which with Fred VanVleet, he's been good, but his time's finally coming as the starting point guard with Kyle Lowry being gone. And it could be a similar circumstance with Davion Mitchell, where, off the bench, he would be amazing, but then eventually takes over for Chris Paul. So I like that. Might be giving up a little bit too much. You might be able to do just Davion and Marvin Bagley, or Davion and Rashawn Holmes, and that should be enough in theory, but yeah, that's the type of trade that I really like. So okay, New York Knicks, nothing really here. They already got Mitchell Robinson and Noel. The Los Angeles Lakers, nothing going on with that one. The Orlando Magic just committed to Wendell Carter. The Dallas Mavericks, maybe a Kristaps, DeAndre Ayton type of flip, but I don't really know how much that moves the actual needle for the Dallas Mavericks, so I would probably stay away from that. Nets, nothing with them unless you're, Kyrie for DeAndre Ayton, say that's not happening. Denver Nuggets, no, they already got Jokic. Pacers, Pacers could be interesting. It would be something like Miles Turner and probably Jeremy Lamb and maybe something else. But with this case too, I don't really know how a Sabonis and a DeAndre Ayton backcourt or frontcourt would actually work, so I would probably stay away from that too if I was the Pacers. The Pelicans, you got Jonas Valanciunas, maybe you toss in, Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Devontae Graham, something like that to get it done. You got the Detroit Pistons, so I'm going to try not to come off bias here, but I actually really like the fit of DeAndre Ayton on the Pistons, just to get like that guy next to Sadiq and Cade Cunningham. So the type of trade that I would personally do as a Pistons fan to get this done is, I think Isaiah Stewart would have to be traded away. I love Beef Stew. He's a big part of the Detroit Pistons' future, in my opinion. But I'm talking about, circumstantially speaking, if there's a trade to be happening, then yeah, Isaiah Stewart, he would be a really solid piece, over for the Phoenix Suns. And then you're probably also looking at giving up Killian Hayes. Just because Killian Hayes, I know a lot of Suns fans are being like, oh, Killian Hayes, let's see how he does to start the season before he roasts him too much more here, man. But Killian Hayes, defensive type point guard, needs to work on his, offensive game, but good playmaker. I think he would do wonders being mentored under Chris Paul. And, yeah, man, hopefully he could get the most out of him, right? So something like that. And then obviously DeAndre Ayton and Cade Cunningham, that's kind of your 1-2 punch, man, which I personally like, but might also have to give up like a first-round pick if you're the Detroit Pistons. We got the Toronto Raptors, another fit that I like quite a bit, but I don't really see a realistic trade happening here. And the reason I say that is because simply the guy that I think would probably have to be traded in this case would have to be Pascal Siakam. But if you get Pascal Siakam on the Suns, I guess you can run him at the center position. He ran a little center last season for the team. But also at the same time too, man, I like him more as a power forward. And if you have Siakam on the team, that means, Cam Johnson and is probably not getting as much playing time. Then again, though, I guess you could probably trade away Jay Crowder and just continue using Cam Johnson off the bench. So not like a bad way to look at it. Probably looking at Pascal Siakam and getting like Kem Birch out of it in exchange for, let's say, DeAndre Ayton and Jay Crowder. I think that's a pretty interesting trade, and you get that big body over on the Raptors. You free up that power forward position. You could with maybe for Scotty Barnes or OG, and the other guy can run the other position, the other forward spot. So that's not too bad. Houston Rockets, nothing really too much here unless you want to do like a straight up like Christian Wood for DeAndre Ayton. Maybe you also get Eric Gordon out of it, so you get a nice veteran piece there if you're the Suns. For the Spurs, Jakob Poeltl's actually not too bad. I would probably just stick with Jakob Poeltl. I don't think DeAndre Ayton's really going to save this team, although it does give you that big body to start building around. And, but yeah, as far as a trade, you're probably looking at like Derek White or DeJounte Murray. But even with that, it's like neither one of those guys are quite young enough, or really should I say that bad? Because DeAndre or DeJounte Murray should be starting on a basketball team. So like prime example of like a guy that probably should not be coming off the bench behind Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Not to mention campaigns on the team too for the Suns. So yeah, we got the OKC Thunder. This is definitely a sleeper team that I think would not only be cool with extending the contract of DeAndre Ayton, but also it just makes sense from a team building standpoint, and they have the draft picks to get it done too. So yeah, definitely could do something with this team. And then, you would kind of have a squad of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, DeAndre Ayton, and plus there's still a ton more of other draft picks. So I really like the Thunder as a sleeper team for going for DeAndre Ayton. You got the T-Wolves not happening. Trailblazers, I mean, I do like the fit. I just don't think they have the assets to get it done. Golden State Warriors. Somebody mentioned to me a James Wiseman, DeAndre type of flip, and I just don't think that makes much sense for either side. And then you got the Wizards, which they actually just extended Daniel Gafford, so I think they're pretty committed to him, man. So yeah, those are a few teams right there. You guys let me know in the comment section below. What trade, what team do you like the best for DeAndre Ayton to go to? I think there's a lot of different cases. But that's all we got for this video, man. Thank you all so much for watching. You know, I'm trying to use 2K to kind of like utilize the interface and everything to talk more about basketball, because it's not bad for that. It's just sometimes the simulation's kind of garbage and everything. So if you guys want me to do like actual trades and do like a full-on simulation, let me know in the comment section below. But I thought this was a good like just intro video to just start talking about basketball going into the season. So that's all we got, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.